Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, and I'm here today to continue reading You Don't Know Everything, Jilly P by Alex Gino. We're going to pick up where we left off after Jilly and Profound have had a conversation about what it used to be like and what it sometimes still is like for deaf kids, and after a pretty disastrous Thanksgiving that Jilly had with her family. Finally, it's Tuesday afternoon, and Macy and I are walking home from school. She's telling me about this annoying kid in our language arts book group and how he tells everyone what to do but doesn't do his own work. We're almost to her house by the time that she notices that I've barely said a word. "What's up, Jilly? Daydreaming about the cute deaf boy again?" "Aunt Alicia's gonna be at my house when I get home." "Oh, right. Macy already knows about Thanksgiving. I hope it's a good talk." "Me too." I say goodbye to Macy, and then it's just me mountaineering the last few blocks to my house. When I arrive, Aunt Alicia's Volvo is parked out front, Maya the canary hanging from the rear view mirror. I've been thinking about what I want to say to Alicia for 5 days, so my brain is already deep in thought mode when I toss my bag onto the couch and sit at the kitchen table. "He's the worst," I announce. "What, no hello?" asks Aunt Alicia. "Sorry, hi." "Need a hug?" "Yes." I get up and let Aunt Alicia squeeze me, and then I give her a kiss on the cheek. She's only a few inches taller than I am, so it's easy to reach. "Orange juice?" she asks. "Yes, please." I know how to get my own juice, but somehow it tastes a little better when Aunt Alicia pours it. "So who's the worst?" Aunt Alicia says, and try to keep it down. "I just got your mom to take a nap a few minutes ago." "Uncle Mike," I whisper yell. "I'm so mad at him, and Graham, and Mom, and Dad, and everyone for letting him get away with it." She places the glass on the table and sits down next to me. "For what it's worth, Jilly Bean, I'm way madder at Uncle Mike than you could ever be, and that's not the first time that he says stuff like that." "That sucks." "It sure does." Once I say how angry I am, I'm a little less angry. I take a sip of orange juice and I start thinking a thought I've been having since Thursday. "So can I ask a question?" "Of course, Jilly Bean." "Well, I get that Uncle Mike is telling a messed up story, but I want to know, but I don't want to hurt Aunt Alicia's feeling." She puts her hand on my shoulder. "Go ahead, nothing changes if we don't talk." "Well, what was so wrong with Graham asking you to bake a sweet potato pie? I mean, you bake the best pies in the family. Don't tell Mom I said that." Aunt Alicia sighs. "And sweet potato pie is twice as good as pumpkin, even when your mom makes it. But that's how a lot of racism goes down these days. Not that white people can't put up Now that white people can't put up signs telling colored people where to sit and stand and live and drink." She rolls her eyes at the word colored, and it's like her whole head goes along for the ride. "It gets more subtle." "Subtle how?" "Low key, under the radar." "But she wasn't meaning to say something racist." "Exactly. What Mike did was on purpose. What your Graham did wasn't. It's like the difference between stepping on someone's foot by mistake and kicking them. Only one is mean, but they both hurt. Sometimes you don't have to be trying to hurt someone. You just have to say the wrong thing." Like with Profound. "But what if you don't know what the right thing is? Then you do the best you can." "But what if you make a mistake?" "Jilly Bean, if I gave up on people when they made a mistake, I'd be lonely. Real lonely." "Does Aunt Joanne make mistakes?" "Lots. The closer you are to a person, the more chances there are to mess up. But we talk about it. And then usually it happens a little differently the next time. But not doing anything, that's a problem, and one that can't get any better because nothing changes. Progress brings some dark times, but it's still better than not growing at all." I wish I'd said something at Thanksgiving. "You weren't even at the table. I think when the time comes, you'll speak up." "I hope so," I say. "I'm glad we talked." "Me too, Jilly Bean." We sit together quietly for a moment. A good quiet, like we're both feeling the same thing without having to talk about it. "Now," Aunt Alicia claps her hands, "how's your homework situation?" "It's terrible," I say. "Mr. Franks, my math teacher, seems to think that the only way we're going to pass the final next week is if we sprain our wrists doing about 1,000,000 problems." "It sounds like fun," Aunt Alicia grins. "One of the kids said that if we would all pass if we didn't make the test so hard." "And how did that go over?" "Not well. Mr. Franks threatened to make sure that none of the answers to the question are whole numbers." But it's okay, I'm pretty good at math. It's just boring to write out all the steps. Better you than me, says Aunt Alicia. Math was always my least favorite. That's why I like cooking better than baking. None of that 2¼ cups of flour nonsense for me. Thank you very much. But your pies are delicious. Pies are different. Pies are special. Now go get your homework done. I'm going to put together a decent dinner for your folks. I pull my math book and my notebook out of my bag and lie on the floor next to Emma, who's asleep in her playpen. I start working on problems to the sound and smell of sizzling onions. By the time I'm finished with my homework, including a break after math, and before the rest, to check in on Delacour, Mom is sitting groggily on the couch, and Dad will be home any minute. Dinner is done and ready to be delicious, and Aunt Alicia's in the bathroom. Her makeup bag is on the counter, and she's been dancing to the radio, announcing whenever a song she just loves comes on, which is about half of them. Her bracelets clink together as she applies her makeup. I lean against the bathroom door. Should I text Aunt Joanne and tell her you'll be home late? I hear she's going on a hot date of her own. Aunt Alicia smiles from the corner of her eyes. Tuesdays are their weekly date night. They say it's the best because places are open but quiet. Aunt Alicia puts her locks up 3 different ways before deciding to let them fall down her back like a waterfall. Do you think I should dye a few of these? Aunt Alicia asks. Yes, purple. Why am I not surprised? We'll see. I've been playing with the idea. Aunt Alicia slips her feet into a pair of black shoes with pointy toes and even pointier heels. She raises her shoulders up to her new height. How do I look? She asks. Aren't those bad for your feet? Terrible. Don't tell my doctor I was wearing them. But how do they look? They look great, and you look beautiful. Aunt Joanne is lucky. She's not the only one. I feel pretty lucky myself to have an aunt like Aunt Alicia. Aunt Alicia and I aren't the only ones still talking about Thanksgiving, because on Thursday, Aunt Joanne shows up with Shandong to have a conversation with Mom and Dad. They tell me to make a plate and then send me off to their room to use the big TV. They make it sound like it's a special privilege, but I know it's because they all want to talk without me. With the TV surround sound, it's almost impossible to hear through the door. Almost, but not completely. I can't hear very much when the TV is on, and if I leave the TV off for too long, someone will notice. But if I press the mute button for a second or two at a time, it just sounds like a break between scenes or commercials. And if I sit by the door, that's enough to figure out right away that they're still talking about Thanksgiving. I start watching a show about a teenage mayor of a small town and her zany group of friends who are always crashing in her office. I give Mom, Dad, and Aunt Joanne a minute to get into the conversation, and then I press mute to catch some details. And it really hurt her that none of the 3 of us confronted him, says Aunt Joanne. She must be talking about Aunt Alicia and Uncle Mike. And I'm just as guilty as you. I let it slide because it was Thanksgiving. Your mom said something to him, said Dad. Well, she was worried about a scene. She didn't care about what Mike was saying. Aunt Joanne is right. If Aunt Alicia wasn't there, I don't think Gran would have stopped Uncle Mike. I turn the sound back on and leave it on for a few sentences, so no one in the kitchen gets suspicious. The scene on the TV ends, and I catch a snippet before the commercial starts. You know how Mike is, says Mom. That's not an excuse, says Aunt Joanne, and it's not limited to him. So it's not just Uncle Mike talking about Grandpa Julian scaring teenagers and not being able to tell black people apart. It's also Graham's comment about the sweet potato pie, the way she expects Aunt Alicia to make pie for her just because Aunt Alicia is black, and Aunt Lou's comment about Jamila's hair. She didn't say that she doesn't like the way Jamila's hair looks when it's loose, but it sure sounded like she was thinking it. And those are only the things that I noticed. I wonder how far it goes. I press mute again as Mom talks about a cereal she and her kid can agree on. Sweet potato pie, says Mom. I know you meant well by offering to make it, says Aunt Joanne, but we can't sweep racism under the rug like that, not if we want it to get better. I turn the sound back on, but the next line from Aunt Joanne is clear even over the TV. Of course it's uncomfortable. I press mute again. I need to hear what comes next. But there's a difference between uncomfortable and unsafe. Sometimes we white people need to make ourselves uncomfortable in order to help black people feel safe. Whoa. I turn the sound back on and I turn up the volume to make sure they don't think that I'm listening. But I'm not watching as the show comes back on and Mary Kate's friends rush around to gather supplies. Instead, I'm thinking about how Uncle Mike made me feel uncomfortable and how the teens from the teens who ran from Grandpa Julian felt unsafe. For a little while, it doesn't sound like anyone in the kitchen is saying anything. Then I hear them again, but it sounds like they're talking about the food and how the extra dollar you spend for homemade noodles is the best dollar that you can spend in Oakland. The caper in the mayor's house hasn't even fallen into a disaster when Dad knocks on the door. Come on out and say goodbye to your Aunt Joanne. You're leaving already? I asked when I get to the living room. Yeah, I gotta get home. I just stopped by to check in with your parents about something. Have a great evening. Mom and Dad don't say anything about their talk with Aunt Joanne, and I don't ask, but every time I glance their way, their faces are furrowed in thought. That's probably what my face looks like when they look my way, too. Chapter 15. Sometimes once you start thinking about a thing, it shows up everywhere. That's definitely true for racism, because it's not a week later that we're talking about it on Delacourt. Jillian P. has entered the chat. Hi, Jillian P. Bad is Great, Crystalline, Profound in Oaktown, Sword Wielder 42, and Vidalian Layers are already here. Pull up a chair, or conjure your own if you're a creation god, and join in. Vidalian Layers. So if you could live in Vidalia instead of America, would you? Jillian P. Hi, Bad, Profound. Crystalline. Yes. Sword Wielder 42. Yes. What about you, Layers? Vidalian Layers. Of course. Jillian P. Definitely. Bad is Great. I'm in Canada. Vidalian Layers. Well, how about Vidalia instead of Canada? Bad is Great. In that case, totally. Crystalline. Profound. Do you want to see the ice cliffs of Magnificent and hear the songs of the Mountain of Echoes? Bad is Great. Crystalline. Profound is deaf. Crystalline. Well, maybe in Vidalia, he wouldn't be. Profound in Oaktown. I'll be deaf and proud no matter where I am. Crystalline. Sorry if I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean anything by it. Bad is Great. New question. What if people had auras in the real world? Profound in Oaktown. No way. That would be the worst. Vidalian Layers. Why do you read the book if auras are so bad? Profound in Oaktown. In Vidalia, color is truth, but that's not the real world. Profound in Oaktown. Here people think that they know me by my color, but it's all wrong. Sword Wielder 42. Preach. Crystalline. I don't get it. Sword Wielder 42. Profound is black. Crystalline. Oh, double whammy. Sword Wielder 42. What are you trying to say? I'm black too, you know. I mean, Crystalline, I just mean that's a lot to deal with. Death and black? Crystalline. I have nothing against black people. Profound in Oaktown. No one asked if you did. Vidalian Layers. But then wouldn't it be great to have an aura that people could see? Profound in Oaktown. It's not that easy. Profound in Oaktown. Vidalia is awesome, right? Profound in Oaktown. Because it's fiction. I love reading about a world where people really see each other, and I like to think about what it would be like to be seen for who I am. But it's not real. In the real world, people think that they know me because I'm black, but those are the lies they took in. Lies I took in and have to fight in me every day. Sword Wielder 42. Right, I love reading about a place where people would see me when I'm hurt and offer a little extra energy to get through, or they know to let up because I had a hard day. But it's a fiction because the real world is racist. Profound in Oaktown. So if you tried to have aura here, people would abuse it to keep black and brown people down, like they always do. Vidalian Layers. Can't you just enjoy the fantasy and not bring race into it? Profound in Oaktown. Nope, because we're black every minute of our lives. Bad is Great. I never thought about this stuff before. Thanks, Profound. Profound in Oaktown. Yeah, sure. That is great. Sometimes I even forget that you and Sword Wielder are black, except when we talk about stuff like this. Like, I just don't even see you that way. Profound in Oaktown. I wish you would. Sword Wielder 42. Seriously, telling black folk you don't see us as black, it's kind of like saying you don't want us to be black. Like being black is a bad thing or something. Profound in Oaktown has left the chat. Sword Wielder 42. Good idea. Sword Wielder 42 has left the chat. Pure Green Elven Girl. Well, that was a little extreme, don't you think? Bad is Great. I didn't mean anything bad by it. Jillian P. Even if you don't mean it, it still hurts. Bad is Great. I messed up. Now I feel bad. Jillian P. Well, saying you forget they're black is kind of like saying you expect everyone to be white. Bad is Great. Oh. Bad is Great. And Crystalline did it too. She was surprised that Profound is black. Bad is Great. So what do I do now? Jillian P. I guess you apologize. Medallion Layers. I still don't see what the big idea is. That is great. Shut up, Layers. That is great has left the chat. I'm just about to log off when a new window pops up. Profound and Oaktown has invited you to a shadowy alleyway to chat. Enjoy your privacy. Profound and Oaktown. Hey, Jay. Jillian P. Wow, Layers sure said some stupid things. Crystalline, too. Profound and Oaktown. Happens sometimes, especially with new people. They say stupid things. Hurts more with bad, though, because I thought she was cool. I wonder if he thinks I'm cool. Profound in Oaktown. Whatever. Anyway, I got something to tell you. Jillian P. What? The delicious dots of anticipation signaling that he's typing appear and disappear a few times, and my stomach bounces along. Profound in Oaktown. I'm going with my parents to an event for families with deaf babies on Saturday in Berkeley. Some kind of thing for new parents to see if they can that they can have a normal family stuff, even if their kid is deaf. Jillian P. Wait, are your parents having another baby? Don't they already know that stuff? Profound in Oaktown. No, genius. We're going to represent a healthy and adjusted family with the world's best deaf kid. Thought your family might want to come. Berkeley is super close to Piedmont. Jillian P. Is it like a thing that anyone can go to? Profound in Oaktown. Why do you think I'm telling you about it? You really are slow today, Jay. Do you need to start drinking coffee? I imagine he's giving a cheesy but friendly grin, which is hard because I've never seen his face, much less a smile, but that line just totally goes with a cheesy but friendly grin. He sends me a link to the event. Jillian P. Thanks. Profound in Oaktown. I hope you can make it. Jillian P. Me too. Profound in Oaktown. These things are usually kind of boring, but it would be cool to meet another Vidalian in real life. Profound in Oaktown. See ya. Profound in Oaktown has left the alleyway. You are alone with your thoughts. Chance to meet Profound in person? Count me in. When Dad gets home from work, I tell him and Mom about New Parents' Night, which is what the event is called. Mom and Dad aren't new to being parents, having me and all, but Emma is certainly new for them. Sounds interesting, says Dad. So how did you find out about this thing? Mom asks. Remember that kid on Delacorte that I told you about who's deaf? He's going to be there, and he's the one who told me about it. My brain fills with a million things to say about Profound, but none of them seems right to share with my parents. Maybe they're not even things to say, just feelings. Lots of feelings. Well, that's quite a coincidence, Dad says. How about that? Something useful coming out of all those hours you spent on the internet. Right, Dad, like the time that you spent watching videos of people deep frying their socks and hammers is so valuable. Don't knock the extreme frying challenge. Don't knock Delacorte. Touché. I still feel a little funny about you talking to strangers on the internet, says Mom. Mom, Young Vidalians is only for kids my age. I know, Jilly, and as your mother, I also know it's my job to worry about you. How do you even know who this kid is? How old is he? He's 13, and he's in 7th grade like me. And really, really cute. I can show you the website for the event. It's a real thing. I run to my room and come back with my laptop, where the webpage is still loaded. I put it in front of Dad, who scrolls down. It's at Berkeley, hon, Dad says. I knew that would help. Berkeley isn't just a liberal city here in Northern California. It's also how most people around here talk about the University of California at Berkeley's campus. Mom is a professor there. She took a semester off to have Emma. Oh, I could stop by the office and say hi. The crew has been begging for me to bring Emma by. Once I convince Mom and Dad to go, I also make sure to point out that it says that siblings are welcome to attend. Can you imagine if I planned all of this and they left me behind? Not on my watch. Profound will be in that room, and I plan to be there. You're right, I say to Macy casually, as I can while we're walking up the hill from school the next day. Macy's coming all the way to my house so she can visit with Emma. I know, she says, just as casually. About what? About Profound, the boy on the internet. The one you have a crush on? Macy's eyes are wide with expectation. Yeah, I guess so, I say, my head low. I knew it! Macy claps her hands and pumps her fist. Your voice gets all funny when you talk about him. It does? I say without noticing how far away and dreamy I sound until it's out of my mouth and I'm hearing it float by. Yeah, it does. Anyway, now that you know that he's my crush, you mean now that you know I've known for a few weeks. Do you want me to tell you the thing or not? Of course I do. Well then, like I was saying, now that you know he's my crush, now that I know Macy plays along, I can tell you I'm going to meet him Saturday. What? Really? How? Where? What are you going to wear? Macy sounds about half as excited as I feel, which is still a whole lot. I tell her about new parents' night, and she decides that this deserves its own dance. We don't have a lot of time to prepare, so we just modify the baby sister slide. Instead of putting our hands on our hips, we shake our fists in the air. So it's left fist 2, 3, right fist 2, 3, hips, 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 foot swoop, clap. We keep walking while we do it, and by the time we get the routine down, we're at my house. HJD, Macy calls as she bursts through the front door. She always has a big greeting for Dad. HT, G, A, H, A, Y, NB, NB, Dad nods, WE, SS. I have no idea what they're talking about until Dad points to the bedroom door. E must be Emma, and she must be sleeping. Macy catches right away. OIS. WBIMR, I offer. What? Dad and Macy are both staring at me. We'll be in my room? Oh, right, sure. Dad says. That works. Dad joins in, I guess. You people are weird. TOTKO, Macy and Dad say at the same time. Takes one to know one. That's where we're going to stop today. We'll pick up tomorrow with chapter 16 of You Don't Know Everything, Jilly P by Alex Gino. My name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!